In this lesson, I'm going to be talking about what a proxy is, how many proxies you should use per Instagram account, and overall just give you an understanding, why is it that you want to be using proxies, what is the point, what's the purpose, and all that good information. And then in the next lesson, I'm going to show you how to actually purchase a proxy, what the best sort of tips and tricks are to do that, to get the best location and best quality proxy, as well as my also recommended provider. But let's get into it. Let's firstly cover, why is it that we want to use an Instagram proxy? So this comes down to when you start wanting to automate multiple Instagram accounts. So I typically say after you're running 3 Instagram accounts on a computer of one IP address, because every computer, for the internet is using an IP address. Once you get onto that 4th account, you need to start using proxies for every other Instagram account you add. So you want to use one proxy per Instagram account. That is what I recommend. I used to say you could use one proxy per 3 Instagram accounts. Yes, you can still do that. I'm not recommending it because you're just going to run into a lot of blocks and just issues in general. It's going to give you a headache. It's much better to use one proxy per 1 Instagram account. So that being said, because you're going to start automating, multiple Instagram accounts, let's just say you have 10 Instagram accounts that you're running from your computer. If Instagram looks at this and it sees that all the connectivity is coming from one IP address, let's say, they're all following, they're liking, they're unfollowing at the same time, that is not humanly, physically possible. Someone can't, put 10 phones in front of them and basically just be touching and tapping them all at the same time and connecting and doing actions. It just basically screams, hey, I'm spamming the Instagram platform. And Instagram doesn't like people who spam the platform, so therefore it's going to block and ban those accounts. So the workaround this is to use a proxy, because what a proxy is, it is just another IP address that basically is just faking or masking the connection location. So it's going to, let's say you're based in Toronto, Canada, where I am from. So I have obviously a IP address on this home computer that I run Java from. But let's say I purchase another Toronto proxy, it's going to give me another IP address, and then I can use that on an Instagram account. It's going to look like, hey, he's still in Toronto, but he's actually connecting from a different IP address, which looks more human. It could be, someone 2 kilometers away from me, it would look like, because the IP address location could be there. But either way, that's the whole point. Don't think too much into it in detail. There's no need to do that. It's pretty much just another IP address to make it look like you're connecting from a different location instead of just massive amounts of accounts all from one IP address. So with that being said as well, I do have a little sort of infographic that I made a while ago. You can find this on my Social Dashers website on sort of a Java proxy breakdown. But pretty much to cover it in sort of more visual sense, is you have your home computer and you have this IP address, like I said, on that home computer. What you'd do is then you would, actually just sort of purchase a proxy. So let's just put like a money symbol here. You purchase a proxy, and then it's going to give you a proxy, which you can enter into Java. And for example, let's just say this proxy is a New York one, and let's say my home one is a Toronto proxy, but I purchased a New York one. And then when your Instagram account automates, because we've added this New York proxy to it, down here Instagram is going to think, oh, this Instagram account is connecting from New York instead of connecting from Toronto. So that's as simple as it is. It's kind of, this middle step right here is faking the location of where you're connecting from. And I'm going to erase all this and sort of explain it as well, just in terms of if you're running client accounts. So HyProxies is the one we will be using. I've got a link down below, but I recommend you check out the next video on how to actually purchase a proxy correctly to get the best proxy out there. But here's locations of actual proxy sort of data centers they have. So these are locations you can actually purchase proxies for. You can find this, by the way, just under data centers and then locations. But let's continue with that example of, me being in Toronto. So let's say I'm in Toronto, which is right here. And I'm managing Instagram client accounts, and someone, let's say in Oklahoma City, they want me to automate their Instagram account, and I say that's great, I want to do this 100%, let's start things up. Or excuse me, let's just make this a bit better. Let's say they're Kansas City. So let's say our client is from Kansas City right here, and I'm in Toronto, and they say, hey, we want you to automate our Instagram account, can you do it? I say, of course I can. And what I need to do is I need to get a proxy that is as close as possible to Kansas City, because if I just quickly, let's say all their activity is coming from Kansas City and all of a sudden it just switches to an IP address in Toronto, while the distance isn't great, it won't matter too much. But let's say they still want to, upload photos on their phone and do things, that are sort of just general on Instagram, like direct messaging, maybe replying to comments. We want to get an IP address that is as close as possible to them. So we could pick Monticello here, or we could pick Oklahoma City. Personally, I would like to go for Oklahoma City. It seems more normal for people to maybe bounce back and forth between these to me. So yeah, pretty much we would be doing all our activity in Toronto. We would be using a proxy in Oklahoma City to pretend our location is actually here, but all our activity is coming from here. And then our client can still, do activity in Kansas City. Yeah, that's basically how proxies work. Don't need to think about it too much. Just always pick the location as close as possible. Let's say they're in a small town here. I would choose Denver. Let's say they're in Minnesota up here. I would choose Monticello, or we can always come into Google Maps and just see if there's anything up here, but there isn't. So yeah, just always try and choose the location as close as possible to your client. You can come here on the data center, check everything out, and even if they don't have it, places I recommend that are really good is LA proxies. These are great. Dallas proxies are really good as well, and then also New York proxies are really good, which are gonna sort of be hidden like down here. So yeah, you can use those. Really good way of thinking about it. Hopefully this makes sense on how proxies work, why we're actually using them. Just wanted to make everything as clear as possible so you understand, what is the point, what's the purpose. Otherwise, I will see you in the next lesson on how to actually purchase a proxy and start adding it to your Instagram account.